Coming up this week, we look at the action from the Premier League. And yes, Liam has turned up despite a poor performance from Villa. Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester United all win. And Watford dragged themselves out the bottom three the first time this season. We have an EFL update, look at predictions, and I have some wonders of why. And can Pete make it 3 in a row when he gives us this week's teaser? So let's get started. Hello and welcome to View from the Sideline podcast, episode 17. It's Chris here and Liam is back this week. Hello, Liam.
Good evening, Chris. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad considering. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's been a hard weekend for you, I think, but we will go into more detail in that in just a moment. We've got a lot to get up to scratch with this week. Including that Villa Man City game, which is going to be very painful for Liam, I can imagine. But we'll go straight in with Pete's teaser. What have you got for us this week, Pete?
How many cities in England have more than one football team?
Thanks, Pete, for that one. Blimey.
Yeah.
It's like a game of Guess Who. Yeah. I don't really know. It's a very, very difficult one. How many cities in England have more than one football team?
They have to be cities as well. I can't even choose towns. He's limiting me.
All right. Well, we'll come back to that later on in the podcast. I don't really like our chances on this one. He could be going ahead for further.
I'm not feeling confident.
So we'll go on into the Premier League review. Speaking of confidence, we'll start at the Villa Man City game. Man City full of confidence after that game, but you've probably got a lot to say about the game. But I'll just say a few things that I noticed on the game. Absolutely terrible performance from Villa. Especially the defending. It was all over the place. He looked so nervous at the back. I think Tyrone Mings was probably... he had two defenders either side of him. He was probably a bit, maybe not used to that formation. I wasn't too sure. And also... Drinkwater had a terrible debut for Villa as well. Obviously, one of his errors cost one of the goals, one of the earlier goals as well. But credit to Man City, they pretty much pounced on every mistake that you guys made. But I'm sure you got something to say on this, Lynn.
Yeah, so normally for when I'm coming on here, I normally make notes watching either the live game or match of the day, and my review coming out of this one was one word, and it was 4 letters long. And I'll leave the rest to your imagination, to be honest, because it was just not nice to watch. At least when we went away to Man City, although we lost 3-0, we could see desire, running, bit of work rate. And I think in the game at the weekend, I think our midfield made a total of 4 tackles, which is just... We obviously got nowhere near them. And yeah, like you say, it's a fairly new formation that we're using. We've used it the last few weeks. And arguably, we've looked a little bit better in those few weeks that we've been playing 3 at the back. I think it's more through injuries than anything else. We've got... a few defenders that are fit and a few midfielders that are out injured. But, we just couldn't live with Man City. You go into those games and you don't expect to win necessarily, but just to see a bit of desire would have been nice. When you go 1-0 down within 20 minutes, your backs are against the wall. You know what Man City are going to do. Once they get 1-0 up, they're just going to keep pressing and keep pressing. And we just didn't show any willing to get back into it. I think once the first goal went in, our heads just dropped, and that was it then. It was, before you know it, 4-0 at half-time.
There was... I think you gave them way too much space in that sort of final third. and obviously one of the goals, I can't remember which goal it was. There were so many. I think it was Aguero. I think it was Aguero's goal just outside the box. We might have just been inside, and no one was really marking him. No one was really even coming up to him. He's just given far too much space. He's the last person that you want to be given that much space to when he's got the ball at his foot. Dean Smith. Do you think he's taken Villa as far as he can, or do you think that he just needs some time, maybe, and try and keep them up in the Premier League, or do you think maybe switching it is the better option?
I think he's still got him. He's got himself a bit of time still. I think he's got a January transfer window to try and sort it out. I think almost his saving at the moment has been that we have got players injured, i.e. the one striker at the club is out injured. And I think that's going to save him for now, because you look at our squad, and when you have McGinn out and you have Wesley out up front and you have Tom Heaton out, it's most of the spine of the team. So I think give him a chance to replace it. It's not necessarily his fault, but, at the start of the season, he was saying that we wanted to come out and attack, and we were playing to win every game. And whereas at this first few games of the season, we actually started quite positively, even if we didn't get some results. We were still looking at playing attacking football, and now I think that confidence has gone. So unless we've got a run of games which we've got, I think we've got Southampton, I think we've got Watford and Brighton and Bournemouth all coming up in our next 5 games, and I think you're going to be looking at, he's got 5 games to save his Villa job. I think if we're coming out of that and we're still in the bottom 3, I think it's time for him to go. Unfortunately, it's a shame, but I think it will be. But if we somehow manage to get results in a few of those games, it's so close in that pack, we'll be looking at mid-table again. So yeah, I think he's got a bit of time, but he's running out quickly. I think this is an important transfer window.
Well, you've got Pepe Reina's come in, hasn't he? So
yeah,
you've got a goalkeeper.
So he's got a replacement for Heaton, which is fine. But I think it's a good signing. But we've got goalkeepers at the club. I think McGinn is a bigger loss. I think Wesley is a bigger loss. And I know they'll be doing everything they can to try and bring people in and obviously Drinkwater as well. But he hasn't played for such a long time, so...
Well, he showed it.
Yeah, he did. He looked a fish out of water. But I can't blame him for not being match fit when he hasn't played. He's not had the chance to at Chelsea. So you have to give him a bit of time on that as well. But yeah, I think Smith's time is running out. I would be surprised if he made it to the end of the season. But yeah, if you win those 4 games that we've got coming up, then he's back to being a hero again. So I don't want to say too much too soon.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll move on to the Spurs-Liverpool game. A game which I actually thought that Tottenham probably deserved to get something out of. And I think this is the first time we've seen a sort of vulnerability at the back for Liverpool. Certainly in the second half of the game, they just kept giving the ball away, and you could see that Klopp was getting more and more frustrated with how they were playing. And that big chance from Lo Celso near the end of the game, where obviously Aurier crosses the ball in. You'd put your house on Lo Celso scoring that 9 times out of 10, but it just hit it so far wide in the end. But I don't know what you thought of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was quite even. Yeah, obviously they've come out of it with a clean sheet somehow, Liverpool. But that chance at the end, when you're playing against the top of the table, you've got to take those really. And Spurs were a bit unfortunate. I think the goal they conceded is one of those where, it's a 50-50 as to who wins the throw-in, and then it's a 50-50 as to who handballs it. On another day, it might have been given the other way, and you're looking at a 0-0 draw. But the argument is still there. If you lose a throw-in, you've still got to clear it, and they did have a chance to get rid of it, and it was probably the only mistake that Spurs made at the back. was not clearing that one chance, and Firmino makes them pay. But yeah, I thought Tanganga on his debut against Mane was
good game.
Fantastic. Yeah, I thought at the back Spurs actually looked good.
Yeah, he definitely had this sort of standout performance, I thought, out of the back sort of four. I thought he played really well.
Yeah, really well against such an experienced and someone who's on the form that Mane is on. Could be a bit daunting for a younger player, but I thought he dealt with it brilliantly.
Obviously Liverpool now another 1-0 victory, another 1-0 they've grinded, but you have to say that the trophy is only going one place this season, so it's full of confidence. But for Tottenham, do you see them bringing in another striker for cover, or do you think they'll stick with Mora and Son?
I can't see a top-class striker wanting to go to Spurs knowing that come March, April time when Kane's back fit, they're going to be on the bench again. So I get the feeling they're going to stick with what they have at the moment.
Yeah.
Stick Son up top or stick Lucas up there. Because I just... They might be able to get a striker in, but I don't think they'll have a reputation. I think maybe they'll be looking at someone younger, possibly from another Premier League club that isn't doing so well. I'm not too sure, but I can't see anyone else going there, really.
Because last season they had, obviously when Kane was out, they had Llorente to fall back on. He's not going to score you huge amounts of goals, but he always sort of did a job for them whilst he was there. So maybe they just go for someone, around the 32, 33 age sort of thing. Not going to cost you like over the odds, but knows he's going to get 3 months of football, and then obviously he's going to have to take a bit of a back seat. So
yeah, I thought Lambert did for Liverpool a few years ago when he joined them from Saints. Starting every week, but someone who can come on in the last 10 minutes if you're struggling and make a bit of a difference. I don't know how many strikers there are out there at the moment like that. I know Murray isn't playing for Brighton. He always seems to come on and cause people a bit of a problem. And yeah, I don't know. I think they're looking at they're better off with what they've got already at the moment. But I'd be interested to see. Mourinho likes buying Fellaini, and he does occasionally chuck him up front just for the last few minutes. And it does lead to a problem. So I could see something like that happening.
Don't tell Rich that, will you? Because he'll be fuming. if he knows Fellaini's coming, then he'll be fuming. Anyway, Leicester versus Southampton. Now, obviously, the reverse fixture in this early on in the season ended 9-0. So I think a lot of people were expecting Leicester to win this, but surprise, surprise, they didn't. Obviously, Southampton came out and gave them a hell of a game. And I just looked at the stats at the end of the game, and Leicester had 5 attempts on goal to Southampton's 15-16 shots. So I think just by looking at the stats, I think you can say that Southampton deserved to win the game. But Danny Ings, is he going to get an England call-up?
That's amazingly what I put in my notes as well. I didn't deserve a shout out in the Euros, because I think there's no English striker on better form than him at the moment, really. He's just seems to score it. Well, maybe Vardy, but he's retired, obviously. Whether they can bring him back, I don't know. But I think he could be a wildcard choice. Why not? Why not bring in a striker that's on form as your sort of third choice?
He's full of confidence as well, isn't he? Like he is actually really quick as well. I don't think you don't really realise how quick he actually is, and he's certainly finding that form that he had like 4 or 5 seasons ago. When he was at Burnley, but no, I thought Southampton thoroughly deserved to win that game.
Yeah, I thought Leicester. I thought they were quite poor, really. I think they'll be obviously very disappointed. Whether it was a case of them being a bit complacent with the 9-0 in the other game, but Southampton were so up for it, and it just showed with how they played. And when you've got someone who can stick the ball in the back of the net like Ings, it makes a huge difference. You just know if you create chances, there's going to be a goal in it somewhere. And I think he's a really good finisher, like you say. I think he's quicker than people give him credit for. I think he's stronger than people give him credit for as well. He's bulked up quite a bit, I think, since his Liverpool days. And yeah, outside chance for the Euros, definitely. I don't see why we wouldn't give him a go. At least,
No.
give him a game and a few friendlies and see what happens.
Well, we haven't seen Leicester. I don't think. I think this is probably the worst I've seen them under Brendan Rodgers. But I've seen people online saying that maybe this will be, a change in the tide, and this could start a spell of a few bad results. But I don't think that. I actually think they'll bounce back and they'll be winning games straight away. So I can't see it myself.
I think it's a temporary blip. I think they'll be back.
Okay, so we'll move on to Stamford Bridge, where it was Chelsea versus Burnley. I just wrote a few notes, and it just says clean sheet, 3 points, happy, defo penalty.
Yeah. To be fair, I agree with the penalty. I thought that was the right decision. The third goal for offside, you can't really tell. It's not clear and obvious.
No.
So I think it was probably right to. But I only caught the highlights of this game. I actually think Burnley, they were sort of giving you a really good game until that first goal went in.
Yeah, the penalty killed it. I think for them, they actually did score a goal, Burnley, but it was ruled out. But Jorginho's got a very fancy way of taking penalties, and it seems to be working every time. I don't think he's missed a penalty for Chelsea yet. He kind of runs up and then does this little hop just before he kicks the ball, but it seems to confuse the keepers. But
surely it takes all the power out of.
That's what I mean. But I suppose it makes the keeper dive sooner. I don't know. I honestly I couldn't tell you why, but
it's ridiculous anyway.
Tammy Abraham's goal. Not really too sure what the keeper and the defender were doing. I think the keeper thinks the defender's going to clear it, and I think the defender thinks the keeper's got it, and then it just it was probably one of the softest headers you're going to see this season to actually go in the back of the net.
So, as I very briefly, as a youngster, used to playing goal. That was my position for my youth football team, and there is nothing more annoying than your defender sort of being within your radius on the goal line, because it just makes you so indecisive. So I'll just hope a little bit here. I understand what the defender's doing in trying to get back and clear it, but if the keeper can't save it, just try and win the header. Don't stand on the goal line, and I think they've just got in each other's way a little bit. So I'll give Pope the benefit of the doubt there, because I want him to be. You never know, he might be England's number one by the time we get to the Euros in the summer. It was a strange one to watch, because it did seem to creep over the line slowly. But another goal for Tammy anyway. Yeah,
and Hudson-Odoi getting his first goal for Chelsea in the Premier League as well. So that was really good to see. Again, it's talk of potential signings maybe, but I honestly think if we were going to sign anyone, I think they would have done it by now. So I don't personally think we are actually going to go in for anyone in January. I think it'd probably wait until the end of the season, see where we finish, and then take it from there. I do still think we need cover for Tammy Abraham. I know we've got Batshuayi. Obviously, Giroud almost certain to go. So Batshuayi is a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he kind of shows that they haven't really got a lot of confidence in him when he's not really coming on in games when we're 3-0 up. So
he just doesn't seem to want to put on a Chelsea shirt at the minute. A few times that I have seen him, he doesn't seem like it matters that much. I don't know.
Just gets caught offside all the time. It's so annoying, but one of those things, really. But we'll move on to the Man United Norwich game. Again, Norwich were really, really poor in this game. I thought Man United did play well, but I think they were made to look a lot better than what they were by Norwich's lack of everything, really. I didn't think they defended particularly well. They lost the ball far too much, gave Rashford far too much space. But a great goal from Martial anyway. I don't understand how you can cross a ball in, there'll be 7 defenders in the box, and Martial still gets his head to the ball and scores the goal. crazy.
Yeah, I think that there's a definite lack of organisation in the back line for Norwich. I know they've struggled with injuries a bit for this season as well, so there's probably been quite a few variations in defence for them, and it does look like they almost don't know each other. Like you say, there's so much space for some of the goals. And United, obviously going forward for United, that's their strong point. And I think if you sit back at Old Trafford, like Norwich, I think tried to do really, and there was a few counter-attacks where they looked dangerous, but if you try and sit people behind the ball, players like Rashford, some of the skill that he was using throughout the game just to take people on, it just creates so much space. And I think it was a really good performance from him. Actually, I was really impressed with him this week. I hope he carries on that form in an England shirt. But
do you think
it made Norwich look like statues, and that's a sign. And I think they're low on confidence as well. So, yeah, I think we can say that Norwich are looking like they're gone at the minute.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think Norwich are, when you look, at the 20 teams there, I think they're the one team that you probably definitely say at the moment will probably be leaving the Premier League this summer. But just going back to the thing you said about Rashford, he had a really, really good game on Saturday, but I don't think we see enough of those performances. I think this season, like you said, I think hopefully he can go on now and keep this form for the rest of the season, and obviously get some confidence going into the Euros. So, but you just like to see more of that from him. I think going on into the future. But a good win for United, 4-0. I think that's their biggest win this season. So I don't think they're going to complain about that too much.
I think it was their biggest win of the season since the first game. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah. Probably it might even be his biggest win since.
That was against Chris, to be honest. I'm not sure who they were playing on the first game of the season, but I think that was 4-0 as well, wasn't
it? Right. Do you want to keep doing this podcast, mate?
We've lost 6-1 this week. I've got to have some little joys in life.
Yeah, all right. Less of that. Right. Palace Arsenal. Arsenal just seem to be lost in this sort of limbo where they just cannot win games, and this is not helped by the fact of Aubameyang's tackle, which was dreadful on Max Meyer, by the way. It was an awful tackle, and rightly so. He was sent off for that. I don't know what your thoughts on that were.
Yeah, stupid tackle, really. There's no defending it. I think it definitely a red card. But watching the replays, I want to just say that I hope I pronounced it right. Meyer, I think, was the player that tackled. Yeah. Straight back up. Could have rolled around. Could have caught the scene.
Straight back up. He went straight off.
And I think that's the reason why he wasn't sent off to begin with. I think it was a yellow card to begin with that was overturned. And I thought that was just fair play. He could have made such a meal of it. But
in normal time, I to be fair, I didn't see it until you see the actual replay of how bad it was actually. But just moving forward a bit for Arsenal, I honestly don't think they'll be given any money to strengthen this month. Arteta, I don't think he's been in the job long enough for them to actually give him enough money to buy that sort of world-class player that I think they need in midfield at the moment. But Palace, have only lost once in their last 9 games, but 4 of those have ended 1-1 and another one ended 0-0. So they have only technically they have only won 2 of the 9 of the last 9. So, but I think bringing in players like Toussaint from Everton on loan, obviously for the rest of the season, I think that's a good signing, and that is one area I think that they do lack is when they go forward. It's all right having Zaha, and Townsend, but I think they've lacked a decent striker. He is a good player, Toussaint, and I think he'll do well there.
Yeah, you know what you're getting with Roy Hodgson's sides. They're well organised, build from the back. Sort the basics of the game out first, and then have a bit of a flair player to try and kickstart a few goals. But obviously, Zaha can't do everything on his own, so that's one who can actually put the ball in the back. And although, to be fair to Jordan Ayew, he's got on the score sheet a few times.
He's
done a decent job, but he's not a big physical presence. I always thought that when Villa, he was just a bit light and easily sort of pushed around off the ball and things like that. So, they needed reinforcements up front, and they've been on great. I know that they've had a lot of draws, but look where they are in the league. And I think you've got to massively credit Roy Hodgson. I think he gets stick from his time as England manager, but he's doing a wonderful job there. I think
he's doing the best he can with the team that he's got. When you look at his team, then they're not, I'd say they're probably in the bottom 6 teams on paper when you look at them that they've got, and it's only because Zaha probably props them up a little bit, but he's done really well with.
And they seem to be a selling club as well, because they obviously sold Wan-Bissaka for big money in the window. That didn't really get invested back into the squad. I don't know where that money went. And obviously there's rumours, every transfer window, there's rumours of Zaha going for big money. And I think if he does go, I think it'll be the same again. I don't think it'll be invested in the squad. So, fair play to him for getting the best out of what he's got.
So, Bournemouth, Watford, 2 teams that are in sort of different form, shall we say. Obviously, Watford have got real momentum at the moment under Nigel Pearson. He's certainly changed things around there, and Decore for me was absolutely phenomenal on I think it was the game Sunday. Yeah. Obviously, he created one and scored one, and then obviously after the game, he actually hadn't trained all week, so for him to play like that and to have not trained all week, he's one hell of a player. But Nigel Pearson, a very stern looking face on that guy, and even though they won 3-0, I was like looking at him thinking, he doesn't look very happy. But after the game, he came out and said, he was really happy with the win. But thoughts on Bournemouth?
Really in trouble. In trouble. It was a poor performance. Watford finding form at the right time. I think they'll be absolutely fine. I think they're going to end probably mid-table come the end of the year. Pearson's done it before with Leicester in keeping them up when it seemed there was no hope. And I think this is going to be the second time he's done it with a different team. So, as for Bournemouth, lots of injuries, which obviously makes a huge difference to them. People like Callum Wilson coming and going out of the squad. He's been so unlucky with injuries, Wilson, because I think if he'd stayed fit for the entire time, he would be in the England team quite regularly. But it's not looking good, and I think that they've sort of, not that they've created a problem for themselves, because obviously Eddie Howe's been there so long, but now I think anybody would question getting rid of Howe to try and keep them up.
I think even
done for them, and I think that maybe leads you to sort of keep things the way they are when a change somewhere may be needed to get them out of trouble.
Well, 2 wins in their last 16 is for Bournemouth, and those 2 wins came against Man United and Chelsea. So, and they've only scored 2 goals in their last 8 Premier League games as well. So they are very much struggling. I think even in the interview after the game, I think even Eddie Howe was sort of in his head maybe thinking that he was going to assess, what needs to be done. I don't think they'll bring players in, and they have got a good squad, but something's just not clicking on this. It is hard. This is a sort of form that they were in sort of end of last season as well. Like, I remember the first sort of 4 or 5 months of last season, they were brilliant, Bournemouth. I think they were in the top 4 for a bit as well. And then second half of the season, they completely just dipped in form and struggled. And I think they ended up in the bottom half of the table in the end. So, they need to start winning and start winning soon.
I hope he finds the formula to get him out of it, because I do really like Eddie Howe. He's done an amazing job at Bournemouth to get them where they are, and I think it's good to have Bournemouth in the Premier League. They play some great football when they're on form, good attacking play, and I'd like to see that carry on. So I do hope that he manages to get them out of it, and I hope they don't need to resort to drastic action. But yeah, it isn't looking good the way they are at the moment. I think they've just got to wait for the injuries to come back.
Okay, so we'll move on to the Sheffield United West Ham game. Obviously, the biggest VAR decision this weekend, the handball. What were your thoughts on this? I thought it was pretty harsh.
Yeah, very harsh. I thought it was just a stupid decision, to be honest. You can't get your arm out of the way when the ball is headed onto your arm from a yard. It's just not. Oh, it's nonsense. They need that rule has to go. It's not VAR's fault. They are following the rules, but you can't have a rule where any slight touch of the hand in any situation means a goal is ruled out, because things like that happen, and it looks stupid. What could he have done to have got out of that?
This is like you said, it's not VAR's fault. It's the actual rule itself. But and for it to be, the timing in the game as well. It's just, I think it just escalated the issue. I think more than anything. So, but for Sheffield United, it's another win. And just like Liverpool, they are grinding these results out, and at the same time playing some pretty good football as well.
Yeah, they're fun to watch. I don't think people have still got to grips with the formations or the tactical changes, I should say, that Wilder makes throughout the game, because he seems to be, every substitution he makes seems to just be a little bit strange. They're never sort of like for like positions, and all these tweaks that he seems to make really do confuse opposition, I think. And yeah, no one's worked out how to play against them. And yeah, from playing them in the Championship last year, it was exactly the same. I think there are a lot of teams that just couldn't work out how to live with them. And but you got to feel for David Martin making the mistake for the goal after just coming on. But yeah, it's another good win for him. I mean, it's great for the Premier League to have Sheffield United back in it to begin with, but to be getting the results that they're getting just shows that you can get from the Championship, still play your football. And
they must be thinking of Europe nearly.
Yeah, not long.
It might come. Yeah. Everton Brighton. Not the most entertaining of games, shall we say, but needless to say, another win for Carlo Ancelotti. Again, he seems to be getting and playing really well. I thought one thing that they were really bad at the start of the season was defending. He's kind of come in and definitely sorted that out. But for Brighton, I don't think this will matter too much to them, to be honest. They've done really well so far this season, so I can't really see it affecting them too much.
Yeah, I thought the goal was really good, actually.
Richarlison's, yeah, it's good goal.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. And yeah, you're right. Ancelotti's gone back in there. He seems to have sorted out the defence a little bit, which was quite leaky, but he seems to be getting the best out of Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up front, which I think Silva was really struggling with at some points. And yeah, they were sort of lacking a little bit of a goal threat going forward at times. But now, I think Richarlison's scored a lot recently. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin's found a bit of form as well. I think Everton will look to build on this, to be honest. I think they'll take a bit of confidence from it, keeping a clean sheet. Yeah, for Brighton, I don't think it's going to matter too much. I think they're going to be safe. I think they're going to be in mid-table. If this is the start of a bad run for them, then I think there are three worse teams than them in the Premier League. I probably Villa are one of them, to be honest, and I think they'll be absolutely fine. They've made some good investments over the summer. They've still got Proper in midfield, and every time I see him play, I think he has a really good game every time.
Mm-hmm.
When I love or what, I don't know, but he seems to be a really good player, and they picked quite a few out of the maybe lesser known European leagues that seem to be doing quite well. So I think they've got the scouting system down.
Yeah, that Proper, he's good. He's a good passer of the ball. Holds the ball up really well. Actually, I do like him.
That piece as well.
But But yeah, so 3 points for Everton there. And last but not least, we've got the Wolves-Newcastle game. Newcastle seem to have a never-ending injury list at the moment. And to mount to their injuries, they had 2 more players come off in the first half of injuries as well. So, but I'd say a handy point for both sides. But yeah, it wasn't a bad game. Just I think the main thing for Newcastle now is to try and get these players back as soon as they can before they completely run out of players.
Yeah, and to keep the form of Almer on as well, who seems to have picked up a little bit over recent weeks. Scored a good goal, I think, in this one. I think he's got 3 and 3 now, and I actually think he scored tonight as well, albeit against Rochdale. But yeah, it's another draw for Wolves. So it seems to be a little bit of a repeat of last season where they got quite a few draws. But yeah, I think they'll probably be the more disappointed of the two. They probably would have seen this game as a home win. But yeah, 1-1's not going to do either team any harm come the end of the year.
Yeah. So that was the Premier League review. We'll be back in part 2 with the EFL review. We'll look at predictions, the wonders of white, and we'll try and guess Pete's teaser of this week. So we'll be back in part 2. Hello and welcome to part 2 of VFTSL podcast. We are going to go into the EFL review now, and I believe, Liam, you are going to look at the Championship and League One.
Yeah, I've been having a look at the Championship this weekend. So West Brom have gone top despite only drawing at Charlton. Leeds have lost another game, 2-0 this time to Sheffield Wednesday at home. Possibly their normal sort of mid to end of season blip.
Yeah, they did this last season, didn't they?
Did, yeah, and it did cost them, but they're so far clear this season. I personally can't see it happening again, but you never know. Yeah, Barnsley won at the bottom as well. That was a big win for them, 2-1 against Huddersfield, who are struggling as well. Luton remain stuck at the bottom after they lost 2-1 against Birmingham. Wigan are also in big trouble after losing 2-0 against Bristol City. In the other games, Brentford beat QPR by 3-1. Mbuemo got on the score sheet again for Brentford. He looks like a brilliant signing. I think a few Premier League teams will be taking note of him. There was a draw for Blackburn against Preston, 1-1 in the Lancashire derby. Hull lost 1-0 at home to Fulham. Borough drew with Derby at home 2-2. Reading and Forest drew 1-1, which I did predict in our predictions. However, what I didn't predict was that both goals were going to be scored after the 96th minute. And the other game that I predicted in the Championship was Stoke 0, Millwall 0. Going on to League One, we've got new leaders at the top with Rotherham after beating Oxford 3-1. Wickham suffered quite a heavy loss away at Sunderland 4-0. Bolton lost at the bottom, so they remain stuck down there with their points deduction. The other two teams in the relegation zone actually played each other. That was Tranmere and Southend, and that also ended in a draw. Bristol Rovers lost at home to Doncaster by 2-0. Burton beat Fleetwood. Coventry drew 1-1 with MK Dons. Ipswich put 4 past Accrington. Peterborough surprisingly didn't score against Gillingham. That game ended 0-0. Portsmouth beat Wimbledon by 2-1, and there was also a draw between Shrewsbury and Lincoln. For the League 2 results, Chris, I will hand over to you.
Just a quick one on the League One stuff. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but did you see the manager of Oxford, Carl Robinson, is being linked to going over to Spain and managing Malaga in the second division in Spain? I don't know if you've seen that. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that one, but they've had a start to the season, so I'm not surprised he's been linked higher up.
Yeah. So he's, I'm not sure if he's going to go, but yeah, he's been linked to that job. So yeah. So League Two does feel like ages since I've actually given a League Two update, but a lot has changed, but not the leaders, who are still Swindon. They're 3 points clear at the top. They beat Crewe by 3-1. Second, with a game in hand, is Exeter. They beat Cambridge 2-0, and in third sits Cheltenham, after they beat Walsall by 3-1. Crewe are fourth, and Plymouth with a big win at Carlisle are fifth after they won 3-0. Bradford slipped sixth. They lost to Crawley by 2-1, and Forest Green make up the playoffs. They're 7th. They were involved in a 4-3 thriller against Mansfield, and it was a 96th minute winner for Forest Green that got them the 3 points. At the bottom, Stevenage, they're on 18 points. They lost at home to Port Vale 1-0. And Morecambe, who have just gone above them now, they drew against 10 men Colchester. And Morecambe are on 19 points. So Morecambe are actually winning tonight, and Stevenage is drawing. So as it stands, Morecambe will be 3 points clear in there. So a bit of safety there. National League, there was no National League games for Yeovil this weekend. But they were involved in the FA Trophy, and they beat Hampton and Richmond 4-0. Rhys Murphy scoring a hat-trick, and they've been drawn against Notts County at home in the next round of the FA Trophy. I saw, actually, last time Yeovil played in the FA Trophy, they actually won it, and I actually saw the final that was played at Villa Park.
Oh, nice. So you have been to Villa Park?
I have been to Villa Park, yeah. They beat Stevenage 2-0 in the FA Trophy. That must have been 2001, 2002 season, I think it was, yeah. Yeah, they played the FA Trophy final at Villa Park. They won 2-0. So, yeah.
Nice to see a team you support win at Villa Park, anyway. Because I haven't seen it for a while.
Okay, well, a predictions update now. So last weekend, Liam, you really did. Oh, you thrashed everyone. You got 29 points last weekend, getting 2 spot-on results. You got the Reading Forest and the Stoke Millwall, both draws. And one of them you put 0-0 and got it correct. So it's pretty good going. Andy, our guest last week, he got 19, and unfortunately, I think for the first time in a while, I actually came last with 13 points. Coming up next weekend, we've got Hayden, and all the prediction stuff is out there on social medias, so you can go check all our predictions there, and the predictions table as well. So, some Wonders of White.
My favourite bit of the week.
It's everyone's favourite bit. I get thousands of emails saying how much they love this feature. So Aguero has now got the most Premier League hat-tricks in the Premier League history, which you probably already know because everyone's talking about it. This one's a good one, actually. Nigel Pearson has won 11 of his last 15 Premier League games, making him the first English manager to do so since Harry Redknapp in 2012.
Wow.
Tammy Abraham has scored 13 Premier League goals this season. Frank Lampard is the only Englishman to have scored more in a single campaign for Chelsea. And Arsenal have failed to win in 5 Premier League games when leading at half-time this season. This equals their previous record, which was held in 2010. So, yeah, I strayed away from Villa this week, mate. I thought I'd give you... give you a break on that one because I thought we probably would have talked about them losing 6-1 already. So I thought that was enough.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was torture enough this week. I just have to talk about it, to be honest.
Okay, so we're moving on to this rather tricky teaser from Pete. So how many cities in England have more than one football team? Now, there are... How many cities do you think there are in England? Probably 30 to 40, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Thinking around about that. I have no idea, to be quite honest with you.
I've started a list.
You've got a list, I believe, which you've been doing.
As we've been recording, I've started a list. At the minute, I've got 7. So try and, if I've got any of these wrong, please do tell me.
Right,
so
go ahead.
I've got Bristol.
That's the only one I can say that I probably would have said straight away, yeah.
I've got Birmingham.
Yeah.
I've got Sheffield for Wednesday United. I've got Manchester, obviously Man United.
Yeah.
London have obviously got
everyone.
Liverpool for Liverpool and Everton. Yeah. And I've got a bit of an outside bet because I don't know if it's a city and I don't know if there's 2 clubs, but Stoke-on-Trent, I know I've got Stoke City and I think Port Vale from Stoke
Port Vale there, yeah.
But I don't know whether Port Vale are actually from Stoke-on-Trent. I know it's near there because it used to be on the local news back when I lived in the Midlands. So, yeah, but I don't know if Stoke-on-Trent is a city. I guess it must be because they are Stoke
I think
City.
it is. Yeah, Stoke City, yeah.
So they're the 7 that I've come up with.
Right, so I've always learnt in this game, if you've got 7, always add on 2, just to be safe. It's up to you, but I can't think...
There has got to be more that I'm just being thick and not thinking of.
Without really looking at every single club in the EFL, I can't really think of many others. Obviously, last season you'd have had Nottingham as well, but obviously County got relegated. So, right. So we've got a solid 7. So I think we should add at least a couple more onto that.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that because I think there's more.
So do we go for 9 or do we go for an even number of 10 or do you think more?
I think I'm happy with either 9 or 10. I don't think it'll be many more than that.
If it comes down to 9 or 10, just don't let them be the one.
Go with an even 10.
So we'll go with 10, right. Okay, so I do have the answer in front of me. Let me just find it. So I don't know if he's listed the... he has listed it for me, yeah. So... Oh, no. No.
Are we way off?
No, we're not. We weren't far off if we just stuck with the actual 7 that you actually listed.
Was that it?
Yeah, London, Birmingham, Bristol, Liverpool, Manchester, Stoke, Sheffield.
You know what, Chris? I'm never going to doubt myself ever again. I'm firmly going to stick with all my answers.
The mistake you made there, mate, was you listened to me telling you to add on. Oh, God. That's ridiculous.
It's a harsh win for Pete this time.
I think we should get half a point for that. I don't know about you. I know Pete's going to want the point, but I think we should get half a point just because we actually did. We didn't. You did. You actually said 7, and then I kind of told you to add on just because I thought that we'd miss some. But
should we create a separate?
I will.
In the table that Liam got right and Chris has talked me out of.
Yeah, I will get our independent adjudicator to finalise what they think of the point system for this week, and I'll let you guys know next week. Although if it's down to Pete, I don't think we'll get anything, but I might speak to Rich to see if we can get half a point. If not, just half a point for you, which does go to our little total. So yeah, but yeah.
Spurs, Rich. I've always loved Spurs.
Yeah. I don't. I hate Spurs. I don't care about the point. But yeah, so that's everything really. Good teaser there, Pete. I'll give you that one. Let's just try and make it a little bit easier, I think, because you are storming ahead now. Ever since you wanted to change the point system, Pete, you've actually beaten us, so that's 4 in a row for you now, so yeah, congratulations there. But yeah, that's all we have time for this week, so thanks again, Liam, for co-hosting with me this week.
No problem, Chris, thanks for having me.
And hopefully next week you'll be back, and hopefully we can talk about Villa getting 3 points.
I can dream. We're fighting away, so it's one of those games you never know.
Let's hope Danny Drinkwater comes up good, gets a hat-trick, and we're just praising Villa next week. So yeah, so we'll see you next week.